God. Therefore, the temporal universe is only a perception of the celestial reality in the temporal consciousness of the Creator. This is the proof of the validity of our hypothesis. Thus, reality is spiritual. The visible is just an appearance of the invisible reality. The material is only a limited perception of the spiritual. This introduction of the cavity cosmological argument has revealed to us that there are three distinct celestial divinities: the Most High, the Creator, and the Logos.
Salama Bena Zulu Bena Kongo. Mbote Bandeko Nusiemi, welcome to another episode. I am Nabi Kefas, and in this episode, we're going to discuss the Bukongo and its encounter with scholastic Christianity. I'm not alone. I'm once again joined by a very good friend, our Dr. Luyaluka. Dr. Luyaluka, it's been a while that we have done a follow-up video, but how are you doing today, sir?
I'm fine, thank you very much. I'm fine.
Yes, I'm glad to have you and to discuss our team. I think it's very intriguing, interesting one to discuss. We haven't discussed this before. So I'm curious. I think also my viewers are curious to what you have to say regarding the Bukongo and its encounter with scholastic Christianity. So I give you the platform. Go ahead, and we're here to learn.
Thank you so much to everybody. Mentioning Kongo religion often evokes into the mind of many Blacks the idea of an African spiritual tradition that has been deformed by the influence of scholastic Christianity. Many scholars, especially in the diaspora, think that Bukongo, the Kongo religion, has lost its original nature to become a westernized religion. It is in order to correct these false perception of Bukongo that this show is intended. When the Portuguese reached the kingdom of Congo for the first time in the 15th century, they naturally devised first to convert the king to their religion in order for the masses to follow suit. Their success in this endeavor in convincing the political elite led to Christianity becoming the official religion of the kingdom. Churches were built, and the sounds of bells on Sundays even led to the true name of the kingdom, Kongo being overshadowed by the nickname Kongo Ngunga, the Congo of the bells. Capitalizing on this encounter and easy conversion of the elite, many scholars conclude promptly and wrongly that the Congo religion, as it appears now, is a copy of scholastic theology brought by the white people. This wrong perception is reached by overlooking or ignoring four elements. First of all, the traditional initiatory schools were the true custodian of the Congo spirituality. And these schools were kept working despite the negative invading influence of the West. They kept teaching the true spiritual tradition up to the year 1930s, up to the years 1930s, when under the counsels of the anthropologists, the colonizer authorities outlawed and disbanded the initiatory schools. Second point, already at this early encounter, the Congo initiates realized the convergence that exists between their spiritual tradition and the new religion that was brought by the white people. As the ministry of Simon Kimbangu proceeded, they even capitalized on this similarity to speak a language that was median to the Christians and the Congo initiates. Third point, the divine-human divide of the practice of African traditional spirituality. The ignorance of this divide, the ignorance of the minority's divine practice of African traditional religion leads scholars to classify many aspects of this practice as borrowings from scholastic Christianity, which is not true. And last point, our discovery of the thematic cosmological arguments enables one to prove that the convergence of Bukongo and Christianity could not be the result of Western scholastic Christianity. The Congo traditional initiatory school. About the Congo traditional initiatory schools, it is important to know that these initiatory academies were the true custodians of the Congo traditional spirituality, as I said above. It is not the government, not the king, but the initiatory school were the guardian of the spiritual tradition. As the Black Africans were reached by the Western religious culture, the initiate made it a rule never to reveal their secrets even to the whites. This change of policy can be read in the sermons of silence sworn by the initiates of the King Himba, the Congo Traditional Martial Academy. It is interesting to note that even after joining the Christian churches, the Congo initiates never failed to keep the initiatory secrets. Sometimes even voluntarily distorting the facts to suit the demonizing mood of the whites against the Black culture. Proof of this last affirmation is obtained when one reads the record of the lemba made by Fukiao, a Congo scholar, in his first book titled Kongo Yenza Yakunzungidida, the Congo, the Bukongo, and the world that surrounds him. And the book in comparison to the book of Johnson, a white scholar, both writing about the Lemba Academy. To Foucault, the initiates stressed the requirement to keep oneself pure on the charge of being obliged to undergo again the initiation with a new tuition. However, to Johnson, some of the initiates of Lemba insisted that all that was learned in the initiatory school were dances and fornication. And this was intended to mislead the conclusion of the scholar. Kongo initiate even repeated this lie to almost any inquisitive Western scholar. Thanks to this policy of secrecy, the teachings of the initiatory schools were preserved from Western spoliation. One of the key elements in the comparative study of Bukongo and Christianity is the convergence the Kongo initiate realized between their teaching and those of the Bible. Teasing the white people in this matter, Dona Beatriz even changed her name to Kiba Vita, has to say to the whites, Kimkakyokyo, Betotwa Vitakyo. We were the first in this game of solar spirituality. Simon Kimbangu, on his side, insisted on the fact that the moral and spiritual principles found in the Bible were stolen from our ancestors. The realization of this convergence led the initiates to incorporate some elements of Christianity they deemed useful, such as the Lord's Prayer, Our Father which art in heaven. And these they were doing without tarnishing the essentials of their theology. A young, inquisitive Kongo was one day talking with an old Kongo lady, follower of Simon Kimbangu. The old initiate said to the young man, when you pray, address the Christ. The old lady looked straight in the eyes of her interlocutor and repeated, I'm speaking of Christ, not of Jesus. She knew the difference between both notions, even though being illiterate, she never read the Bible and never had any knowledge of theology. One of the elements that misleads scholars in their conclusion about Kongo spirituality is their ignorance of the divine-human divide in the praxis of African traditional religion. In the practice of this religion, the great wisdom of our ancestors was not to impose equality to all the sections of society, the highest moral and spiritual requirements of their religion. Hence, they devised two kinds of the practices of African traditional religion, the divine practice and the human practice. The divine practice is that of a minority of Africans found nowadays among the Bantus. This practice aims the recovery of one's lost divinity through the purification of thought and the succor of holy ancestors, Bakulu, Bamaza. On the other hand, the human practice is essentially based on the observance of appropriate rituals, on faith in the Nkisi, traditional power, and the succor of the tutelary spirits, Bisimbi, or the succor of the ancestors who evolved in the same practice during their lifetime in this side of existence. When it comes to the divine-human divide, the great difficulty is that the divine practice is up to now almost unnoticed by scholars. In fact, this trend of the practice of African traditional religion is seen only in some Bantu rituals and in Bukongo. In Bukongo has taught by her academy in Zilaloa. For instance, among the Bomitaba, an ethnic of the Republic of Congo, a priest called Ndami, initiated in the spirits of nature, the Nkai, presides at the traditional shrine, Mokote Wavanga. However, the Ndami cannot operate without the contribution of a second priest specialized in the spirits of holy ancestor, the Nzaya. One easily realizes that the Ndami belongs to the human practice of African traditional religion, while the other priest is devoted to the holy spirits of water, that is, to the divine practice of the same religion. The ignorance of the divine-human divide in the practice of African traditional religion misleads the scholar into believing that the divine practice is an exotic element brought into African spirituality by a borrowing from scholastic Christianity. This misconception arises especially when it comes to the notion of the commandments of God and the notion of sin that are not found in the human practice of African traditional religion. About the notion of sin, let us stress that in the myth of Mavungu, which myth many of us know, in that myth, Maugu, the original human being, lost his divinity due to a misuse of his God-given free will. I can say, due to sin. The myth points it that human means cannot remedy to this loss. This is a clear indication that the remedy can be found only in the divine practice of African traditional religion. The Egyptian Book of the Dead shows the remedy to be the purification of thought and the obedience to the commandments of God. These two elements alone allow the initiate to become a Bak, an Osiris, a Mawungu, a child of God in a manifest way. Today, thanks to the Kemetic cosmological arguments, the convergence between Bukongo and the true Christianity as taught by Jesus and his disciples can be established through comparative study. But let me first introduce the Kemetic cosmological argument. I can introduce this argument for the sake of the show in this manner. The individualities included in this temporal universe confirm its individual nature. An individual temporal universe can only be the effect of an individual cause. Now, the individual nature of this cause begs the existence of other similar effective or potential causes. Here we introduce an hypothesis for the sake of concision. By hypothesis, we stated that any creation is included in its creator. Now, an entity exists that includes all the above deduced causes or creators. This entity is therefore the greatest possible being. It is the Most High. Thus, the Most High must be indivisible and immutable, because if he were not, there must be a principle of his divisibility and mutability that must be greater than him, according to the law of causality. And this is impossible. Therefore, the Most High is immutable and indivisible. Has a manifestation of an individuality included in the Most High. Each creator or each child of God expresses the fullness of the indivisible Most High God. We call this fullness the Logos. The temporal universe cannot be in God. By the way, by God here, we don't mean the Anglo-Saxon bearded white person in the sky. No, we mean what is being defined here, what is being revealed here by the Kemetic cosmological argument. By the word God, we mean the ultimate cause, who is the greatest possible being, immutable and indivisible, and whose the creators are only manifestations. The temporal universe cannot be in God due to his immutability. It cannot be also outside of God, for added to him, it will result in an entity greater than the greatest possible being. So it can't be neither in God, neither outside of God. Therefore, the temporal universe is only a perception of the celestial reality in the temporal consciousness of the Creator. This is the proof of the validity of our hypothesis. Thus, reality is spiritual. The visible is just an appearance of the invisible reality. The material is only a limited perception of the spiritual. This introduction of the Kemetic cosmological argument has revealed to us that there are three distinct celestial divinities: the Most High, the Creator, and the Logos. It revealed also that creation abides in the Creator. It shows also that there are more than one Creator, that there are many parallel universes. It shows us also that reality is spiritual, not material, etc. The convergence of the Kemetic cosmological argument and Bukongo is seen in their having the same theism. Ndambi Toledo in Bukongo is the Most High revealed by the Kemetic cosmological argument. And we have a creator who is different from Zambia Tulendo and who is called Mumba Loa. And we have Mpinanza also, the Logos, who is the God called the God the Governor, like in Sumer. The illusory nature of matter revealed by the Bantu to Placid temples is seen also here. The multiplicity of the universe is revealed by Simon Kimbangu in his prayer at Matan Sanda when he said, prayer to east, prayer to west, thus referring to the sun creators, Loa, at the different levels of their evolution. The convergence of the true Christianity with the Kemetic cosmological argument is seen in, first of all, the transcendence of the Most High, implied in the Lord's Prayer, when Jesus said, Our Father which are in heavens. The word heavens is in plural, meaning a Father who is in the temporal realm and not the Most High. This is showing the transcendence of the Most High, the transcendence which is seen also in the Kemetic cosmological argument, because God, being absolutely indivisible, he cannot know evil, because in him to know and to be are the same thing. If God knows evil, then he must be infinitely good and infinitely bad, which is impossible. So in the Kemetic cosmological argument, God is transcendent. And this we see also in the Lord's Prayer, as we see also in the prayer of Simon Kimbangu. That prayer is not addressed to the Most High, because the Most High is transcendent. So we see the similarity in both, in the transcendence of God, which is not the case in scholastic theology, where prayers are addressed directly to the Most High God, who is confused as being at the same time the Creator. Now, if we take the Bible in Colossians chapter 1, verse 12 to 16, we read there that the Most High is different from the Creator. And the Creator is the image of the invisible God, which is the Most High. So we see the difference established here between the Creator and the Most High. And it is revealed there that creation is in the Creator, which is not the case in scholastic theology. And also the Creator is called the firstborn. Now, this expression, the firstborn, is found also in Hebrew chapter 12, verse 23. And it is there in plural, revealing the multiplicity of creators, which implies the multiplicity of universes. So we see here that the convergence of Bukongo and Christianity is not along the speculative lines of scholastic theology. No, it is in the line of the scientific theology revealed that the Kemetic cosmological argument. Now, the Kemetic cosmological argument being a set of deductive and coherent doctrines is an exact science. Thus, it must be noted that the convergence of Bukongo and this argument proves that Bukongo is also an exact science. As it proves also that true Christianity is an exact science. This is not the Christianity which was taught by the white people, who up to now are unable to prove their theism. They are still seeking the scientific nature of religion, but they don't happen to prove it. The convergence of Bukongo and Christianity, as I said, is along the scientific nature of both, and not along the speculative line of scholastic Christianity brought by the white missionaries. Second point, the true nature of Christianity as an exact science is still unknown to Western scholastic theology. In England, they created an academic, a prestigious academic institution using great scholars in order to discover natural theology, systematic natural theology. Up to now, it is a failure. Since 130 years, they are trying to prove, they are always failing, while we have proven here the theism which is used by the Black people, and which means that our religion, in its true nature, is an exact science. And why white people are unable to prove their theism? The answer is that they confuse the Most High with the Creator. This confusion leads to an illogical concept of the supreme being. We can prove this way. Just ask yourself, where creation exists, if God is at the same time the creator, then we have two options. Either creation is in him or outside of him. If it were in him, then at the moment of creation, God will change because something new will appear in him. And if God changes, then there might be a principle of this change, and which principle must be greater than God, which is impossible. If creation is outside of him, then that creation added to God will result in an entity greater than God. So in both ways, it doesn't work. The theism they use in the West is unscientific and illogical, while the theism which is used in Bukongo and in true Christianity make a distinction between the Most High and the Creator. And this is a scientific theism demonstrated thanks to the Kemetic cosmological argument. Therefore, in conclusion, mention the Kongo religion, and many scholars will opine that this trend of African traditional religion is a corrupted version of scholastic Christianity. However, we have shown in this presentation that this false perception is due to the ignorance of the nature of Bukongo as an exact science, as well as the ignorance of the divine-human divide in the practice of African traditional religion. The convergence of Bukongo and true Christianity along this scientific line disproves the allegation of this trend of African traditional religion as being deformed by scholastic Christianity. Thank you so much.